When you start modifying vehicles, there's a lot of things that come to mind. You're trying to make the car faster and handle better and also make it look better, and that's where wheels usually come into play. When it comes down to wheels and tires, they're probably the thing that makes the most amount of difference as far as the exterior look. So you do your homework, you make sure that you find a retailer that you like, you do your research on the size, you check the forums, you make sure it's going to look good, you get the right tire size, but then some things could happen.
Oh my God.
Today we're going to be talking about the 5 mistakes that you made when you installed your wheels. What's going on? I'm Scott from Koenig, and before we get into this video, if you wouldn't mind throwing us a thumbs up and subscribing down below. As exciting as getting wheels and tires for your car is, there are some mistakes along the way, especially in the installation portion of that purchase, that can really make your life miserable. And today we're going to be going through those points explicitly, trying to give you the 5 mistakes that you might have already made when you put those new wheels on your car. All right, so point number 1, let's start with the thing that happens before we even get to the part of putting them on your car. One of the mistakes that people make is they don't test fit their wheels before they go to get them installed or install them themselves. So before you put those tires on top of those wheels and get yourself all ready, you want to make sure that you put the wheel on the car. Put it on the front, put it on the back, and this way you can make sure that without the tire, you can move the wheel around. It doesn't hit the brakes, it doesn't have any issue, you can test out your hardware. These are important things not only to save you time when you get to the installer or when you get them mounted and balanced, paid your money and now have to put them on yourself, but these are important things to make sure that you didn't get the wrong part number, the wrong wheel, and that everything looks good and you have wheels that if there's a problem, you can still return. So now you've mated the wheels and the tires and you're getting ready to put them on the car. One of the mistakes that you could have already made is you used the wrong installation hardware. Now, hold on one second. You might be saying, they're already on my car, so how could it be wrong? I'm going to explain. There are 2 things when you pick installation hardware that you really need to pay attention to. One of those things is the correct seat of that hardware. So if you're using a lug nut or a lug bolt, most aftermarket wheels are going to use a cone seat, lug nut or lug bolt. So if you use some of the OE manufacturer hardware that came on your car, a lot of times it's ball seat. Now we'll show you the difference between each one, but here's the thing you need to know about it. If you use your OE ball seat hardware on a wheel that requires a cone seat lug nut, this could really cause a catastrophic failure. The wheel could essentially rattle off the car. So this is one of those areas where you're going to want to make sure that you have the right hardware. And now let's move on to the second point about using the correct hardware. Lug nuts and lug bolts are there to supply clamping force to the wheel. Now, that clamping force really needs to be applied with the correct thread engagement. Thread engagement is essentially how much a lug bolt would thread into a hub or how much a lug nut would basically wind onto the stud. So if you're using a lug nut or a lug bolt and it doesn't have the proper thread engagement, you could have a serious issue. One of those things that you're going to want to do, even now if they're on your vehicle, is just double check. It takes almost no time at all. You just wind one lug nut out, one lug bolt out, and make sure that you have the proper thread engagement. And again, we've done a video of this on our YouTube channel. Just head over there and check it out. So here's the third point that you could have possibly done incorrectly when you installed those wheels, and that is the improper fastening of the wheel. Every wheel needs to be torqued to the correct specification, but this isn't one of those times you want to use the impact gun and drive them home. You could easily damage the wheel or even strip the stud or something to that effect. So what you want to use is you want to use a torque wrench. And for the proper torque specifications, you want to make sure that you go through your OE's manual and use the recommendation that they have provided you. They already know what those wheels should be torqued to, and it doesn't matter if it's an aftermarket wheel or an OE wheel, you're going to still use that same torque value. Another point of the installation that actually happens a little bit after the installation is the retorque. Remember, when you put lug nuts on your car, and you change your wheels or whatever it may be, it's always a good idea that after about 25 miles or so that you check the torque of the lug nuts again. This just makes sure that nothing came loose and everything is secure. So point number 4 could be something you're struggling with right now. If you're experiencing any wheel vibration or anything like that, you may have left out hub rings. We've talked about the importance of hub-centric rings. We have a video for it. A lot of people have even watched that video. Listen, hub rings are important. They make sure that you don't experience any issues with vibration and that the wheel is perfectly centric to the hub. So make sure that you have hub centric rings. If you're experiencing vibration, check and see if they're in there, and if that hasn't been added to your wheel and tire purchase, just throw it on. They're super cheap, they're not hard to get, and you really can get them anywhere online. So moving on to our final point, point number 5. This is not something you may have done yourself, but
the wheel just fell off.
What just happened?
I think the car's fine.
Yeah. No.
You are the one that chose your wheel installer, which means that you may have made the mistake of choosing an installer that didn't really have a good knowledge base. This is one of the most important things that you can do if you're not going to be installing your wheels and tires yourself. Find somebody that can help you and guide you through the entire process. Remember, your wheel installer is the person that not only picks the proper wheel fitment for you, helps you get the right hardware, make sure that they're properly installed, but they're also the ones that mount and balance your wheels. So a lot of the frustration that people experience with wheels actually happens from the installation. So you can avoid this by making sure that you go to a wheel and tire center that's extremely knowledgeable, that knows all the common procedures, and also follows today's recommendation with today's state-of-the-art technology. And while I totally understand how going to one installer over another may save you a few dollars in your pocket, generally when that happens, if you're choosing somebody that doesn't have the knowledge base, it won't matter because you'll want to pull your hair out, yank your wheels off the car. Go to somebody that knows what they're doing, spend a few dollars more if that's the case, and know that you're going to be driving down the road successfully and safely. So we hope you didn't make any of these mistakes, but if you did, throw them in the comment section below. Let us know which mistake you made and kind of what you learned from the whole thing. Help the car community not make these mistakes together. That's it for this one. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.